What would you do? Hi all, first-time poster here. Never thought I'd ever have to do anything remotely close to this. I am a 27F and my husband is a 29M. We have been together for the last 7 years, married in December of 23. My husband has been the most incredibly stable person I've ever known. Not to say he never had his ups and downs, but as a whole person he was incredibly stable. Our relationship has been extremely affectionate. He's a very touchy hands-on person giving me consistent reassurance and love. Keep in mind he has always been like this for nearly 7 years. About 2 weeks ago, he has turned into a completely different person. He has shut down mentally and physically. He can barely stand to look at me for more than a second. He can barely touch or kiss me. I have had to beg him for affection the past 2 weeks. He kept saying he feels overwhelmed, but could never actually give me a complete reason why. I chalked it up to be he is a video game content creator and has been working non-stop for the past year. It all changed when he came back home from a major exhibitor event. He started not sleeping. He has never had issues with sleep before. In fact, he's always been a better sleeper than I have. But all of a sudden, with a snap of your fingers, he has done a complete 180. I'd come home, and he'd be laying on the couch face down in the dark. A little backstory, like myself, he has had a traumatic childhood with hostile and unstable parents. I am aware of some sort of inappropriate behavior that happened between him and his mother, who was molested at a younger age by her father at a young age. He never wanted to tell me anything more than it was appropriate. I tried to get him to seek counsel, but he never thought it would help him. Fast forward to now. All of a sudden, he has been clinging on to my mother like a child. This is not like him. He has never had the desire to hang out with my mother for more than 10 minutes. We do live with my mother currently. Over the past 2 weeks, all he has been concerned about is what my mother is doing, thinking, feeling, or saying. He has neglected me for the past 2 weeks and is constantly wanting to be around my mother. Even my mother noticed and came to me directly asking me what's going on with him. She said she felt uncomfortable that he's been so clingy all of a sudden. Fast forward to yesterday. I get a text from my mom saying that my husband is unwell and that I cannot go back to the house. My husband calls me at work saying I needed to come home immediately because he is unsafe. I thought maybe he wanted to end himself. I rush home with my mom, and he is in our room. His eyes are different, dilated and not normal. Something shifted in him to where I felt uncomfortable. He told me my mother threatened to end him and that he felt unsafe. My mother told me that he asked her if she could come into our room so that he could play a song for her. She asked him what was the inspiration for the song, thinking it would be about me and the challenges we've been dealing with. He said you, as in my mother. My mom immediately asked him if he had romantic feelings for her, and he said yes. That's when my mother told him that if he got in between our relationship that she would stick him in the ground, and she immediately left the house and texted me. When I confronted him, he of course denied it and said that my mother has been making sexual advances towards him for a while. I do not believe him, even though I want to, since he's my husband. I've had a lot of men in my life, and never once has anyone said anything like this. He started telling me stories of what she was doing, and he had this glazed look in his eye like he wasn't in the present. I absolutely do not believe anything he was saying. I dropped him off at the ER last night at the cop's suggestion. The crisis therapist talked with us both for 2 hours. We both have him our side of the story. The therapist then took me aside in a room alone and was siding with me. He said that he could be in some sort of psychosis from sexual abuse he suffered as a child and is having issues with sorting between motherly love and something else. They decided to hold him overnight. He also said that he thinks he could have undiagnosed schizophrenia, which is typical for males around his age. He told me that 2 weeks ago a married couple our age came into our exact room for something similar. The wife said her husband is not the same and something changed that she can't explain. They left, and a week later he was admitted again in a psychosis state and ended up ripping the doors off the room. As his wife and someone who has been in his life for 7 years, I don't want to believe he actually feels this way given it's so out of the blue. I want to support that he gets better and receives medication, but I don't know if this can ever be reconciled. All I know right now is that he cannot live with me, and that he needs to live somewhere else and seek appropriate counseling and medication. I'm not sure what to do. I'm so lost.